I want to talk about the incident with George Floyd. Before I start anything or say anything, no, it was not okay in the police's actions, and nor is this rioting. So here is my opinion on what is going on. The officer was so wrong. He deserves what happened to George Floyd deserves to be happened to that police officer. He deserves to suffer what that man suffered. He doesn't deserve to be able to walk on our streets again. He doesn't deserve to be free. He doesn't deserve to sit in a jail with people. Because as soon as he goes to jail, I'm telling you, he will get attacked. He deserves to die. He does not deserve to ever see our streets again. I guarantee you, they put him in jail with a whole bunch of dark people. They will attack him. He will not survive a day in there. But this rioting is also bad. And I'm not saying that, yes, we should be able to protest. Yes, people should hear our voices about what the incident was. But burning down buildings and setting on fires, that police officer deserves to die. He doesn't deserve to see our streets again. He doesn't deserve to see the sky again. He doesn't deserve to sleep in a bed at night. He deserves to die. He does not need to be here. He does not need to go out and start problems. He does not need to become a police officer again. He deserves to go to hell and die. And this rioting, honestly, everybody's saying it's not okay. I think it is somewhat necessary. Because we know good and well if people weren't rioting right now, no voices would be heard. Whether they're standing at his grave and helping his family, whether they're out there saying peacefully things, just walking down the street with boards that say George Floyd, their voices are not going to be heard. And people wonder why they riot. Which, it's not okay in every circumstance, but if you were just marching down the street and saying, yeah, he killed this innocent man and then got away with it pretty much. Third-degree murder and manslaughter, what they need to pin him on is third-degree murder, not manslaughter, because that means he'll go to prison for 25 years without parole. And it irks my nerves that an officer, someone who's supposed to protect us, someone who we're supposed to look up to, someone we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, I feel safe when I'm around this person, could do that to an innocent person. I just remember watching the news and just hearing, I can't breathe, officer, can you tell him to get off of me? Can you tell him to move? He was not resisting. He was not fighting. He sat there and died. And he has that on his record. He should have never been a police officer, nor should those guys that were with him. They should be off. They should not be a police officer anymore. And I feel so bad for their family to sit there and think, I can't imagine what his mother's going through. Thinking, my son died because somebody killed him and he was innocent. He didn't do anything. He didn't resist. And I think what is so funny, so absurd, is that in the video, it cut from him in handcuffs to on the ground. And police officers aren't trained to put their knees in their necks. They're trained to put it on your back so it doesn't hurt anything. The police officer was on something which cut off all oxygen to his brain. So when he said, oh, I can't breathe, officer, can you please get off of me? The officer should have moved. But the officer deserves every bit of that. He deserves to be pinned on the ground in handcuffs, face pushed up against the concrete, and a knee in his neck so he cannot breathe. Let him sit there for a few minutes. Let him die. I will never understand what this world has come to. Streets were just empty a few weeks ago because of quarantine, and now they're filled with people who are like, I could never go through that. I wouldn't know. Honestly, I'm with the people who are protesting right now, who are standing up and actually saying something, and aren't sitting back and saying, oh yeah, it's okay for him to go to prison for 25 years and get out on parole. Guarantee you, he steps a foot in that prison, every guy is going to attack him. Because I don't think he knows this, but in jail, you have a TV to watch the news on. You can go to channels. It's not just like, what the fuck is wrong, America? What's going on? I just remember turning on the news that morning that afternoon, and it was that. And then the next day, everybody's like, oh yeah, you should be rioting, you shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be burning down buildings. They shouldn't be setting trash cans on fire. They should be marching down the streets with signs in their hand. Or they should be marching down the street saying George Floyd deserves to still be alive. Or walking down the streets and saying that police officer deserves to die. Because that is necessary. I think that in all scenarios, that is necessary. In that scenario, yes, it is very necessary for them to say that. Not sit there and say, oh, well, we're just going to sit back and be quiet because we don't want to get in trouble by the police. That's why they're doing it. Because police officers are just sitting there. They're not doing anything. I saw an innocent, dark-skinned man beat to death on the streets by a group of white people. He couldn't defend himself in that scenario. After the fight, you could see him face down, knee like bent, and his arm like this. Just blood everywhere. Why are we like this? In what era is that okay? I've seen America go through some tough shit, and this is beyond. This is beyond America. We're better than this. We're acting like China right now. And police officers, yeah, tear gas is okay. If everybody's getting out of hand and throwing fire at the police officers, yeah, then tear gas is okay. I mean, it doesn't hurt them, but it gets them to move away or like spread out a little bit. Shooting people, I will never understand. Shooting these people who are protesting for their people and who are making sure that their voices are heard. And now curfew has something to do with it. No one's listening to curfew. Dayton is the only city that I saw actually listen to curfew. Washington State didn't listen. LA, California didn't listen. All those police officers deserve to go through that pain and then have people surrounded. People who are supposed to protect us. People who were supposed to protect him in that situation deserve to have a knee in the back of their neck so they cannot breathe and they struggle in handcuffs, which was the messed up part. He was in handcuffs. Where was he gonna go? It's not like you can just wiggle out of handcuffs. Like, what was gonna happen to him? He didn't resist. He didn't argue with the police officers. He did nothing. But yet he dies Now, all those police officers deserve to go through that pain. All of them. Every single police officer. Including the people who were standing around. And people just were videotaping. If I was standing there and watching that man say, "I can't breathe, can you move? Can you get off of me? Officer, can you tell him to get off of me? I cannot breathe," I would have charged him. I don't care what. I don't care if I got charges. I don't care. I would have charged him. Made sure that he was off of that man. And then I would have grabbed the man and helped him up. I think it is so crazy. And it wasn't just random people on the streets. It was police officers. And he only has manslaughter and third-degree murder. How? Because he had a heart problem. That might have affected the way that he died. No. You see the videos. That, and then you saw the officer's foot come off of the ground just jabbing there harder. He wasn't on the neck just for a quick, you need to calm down. Even though he wasn't doing anything, he wasn't on the back just you need to calm down. You need to do this. You need to sit here and you need to cooperate, because he was cooperating. But yet, he sits there 3 minutes after his body goes limp, making sure that he was dead. This is not the first encounter he has had. He's had plenty of encounters with Black, Mexicans, anybody else that is not white, mixed. America, this is bullshit. What are we supposed to tell our kids? When one day it pops up on the news, a memory of all those people who died, and then it shows clips of everybody and what happened. How are we going to explain that to our kids? That the people who were supposed to keep us safe killed them. Just like a few years ago with that bigger guy who got pushed to the ground by a whole bunch of people. God, he didn't do anything. But he got pushed to the ground, headed first in the curb, and died. America, why? The fact that the government is just letting that happen and not giving him any charges, they only have him accountable for third-degree murder and manslaughter. At that point, he's getting 25 years without parole. No, that bitch deserves to die. He deserves to burn in hell. He deserves to get a knee in the back of his neck so he cannot breathe, and also have a group of people surrounding him and not helping him. It makes me sick to my stomach to think that people can do this and enjoy it. Yeah, when funny thing happens, when people accidentally fall down the stairs, then yeah, we laugh and we joke about it, but you could sit there with your knee on his neck and him saying, "I cannot breathe, get off of me. I cannot breathe, officer. Can you tell him to move? Can you tell him to move his knee?" And when he said, "Can you move his knee?" what that officer did was push his knee harder into his neck. I hope that this spreads around social media super fast. I hope that this is heard. The riots aren't okay. Yes, setting buildings on fire and going out and attacking police officers, that's not okay, and they have a right to protest quietly. Go visit his grave, go pray, or march down just one street, just stand on the sidewalk and have signs and say, "This is not right. We need to do something. He deserves to be in prison for life." Not just sit there and let him go or get 25 years without parole. That officer deserves to never see the streets again. That officer deserves to never see his family again. And I guarantee you, if they send him to prison only for 25 years, he's not going to make it out because he's going to die within a heartbeat. People in prison hear about this stuff. It's not like they're just completely unknown fool, because it starts spreading around real quick. I just honestly wish our world could change. That police officers could be nice. The police officers could help when somebody can't breathe, and that police officer is just sitting on them. Or when these riots are breaking out, that people would be like, I understand your pain and I understand what you're going through, but this is not okay. We heard your voices. You were on the news. You were everywhere. Now it is time to stop. Or the government deserves to kill him. He doesn't deserve to live. He doesn't deserve to eat another meal. He doesn't deserve to see the streets again. He doesn't deserve to live a life. And nor does he deserve to see his family. It is crazy to think that people sit here and do this and enjoy it. And cold-blooded murderers. And everybody said this was Trump's fault. Trump has nothing to do with this. Nothing. All he did is make a comment about these riots that are breaking out. They are in memory of George Floyd. He said that they were so kids could go steal. Kids could go get something. But you realize these kids that are marching and protesting some come from families that they didn't really grow up in a good home. They didn't really grow up on the good side. And then you have the kids who are rich and spoiled and have everything and need everything. I think it is so crazy how nobody, not a single person helped him. Yet there was a crowd of people around them recording. But was there a person that helped him? Of course not. And I think that if we want to start a riot, let's start a riot on social media. Let's start posting all over social media about it. Let's start posting videos of us saying what we think like this. Let's start doing this. That way people still hear our voices. What have we turned into? I'm going to tell you what America has turned into. People who are still racist. And people who are still kind to Black people. Mexicans. I come from a family from everywhere. You have Blacks, you have Indians, you have Mexicans. I come from a family. We have a lot of people. My grandma's an Indian. My papa's Black. And my grandma's sister, my Aunt Kimmy. Well, yeah, my Aunt Kimmy. Her daughters are mixed with Mexican. Like, it breaks my heart. It shatters my heart into a million pieces. And I can't say this enough, but there was a crowd of people around him and did nothing, didn't do a single thing about it. What? If there was a group of people, I would have had people go around. Like, if I was with a group of friends and I saw that happening, him saying he couldn't breathe, I would be like, hey, you guys go attack like the group people, make sure that they can't get on me, and I will charge and knock that police officer off of him. Just have my back, so that way when I go and I charge the police officer, they don't come after me immediately. I guarantee you, if one of my friends were to record that, or this video did get posted and I ended up charging him, I wouldn't get in trouble. Would you rather have somebody die? An innocent poor man who he didn't even have his arms. He was in handcuffs. What was he going to do, run? He can't get that far with his hands behind his back. He'd end up tripping. But he followed every rule, did everything how they wanted it, but they were still unpleased. And all those officers that were with him that got this call, like, hey, there's this guy in a car and we need you to go get him to bring him into custody. All the police officers have a record or a history targeting Mexicans, blacks, and people who are not white. What is going on? I will tell you what is going on. Because he is white, he is more privileged. He will get very little time in prison, but he'll end up dying in prison. And that's how it should be. Guarantee you, as soon as he steps a foot in that prison, I guarantee you it will be all over the news. Police officer who killed George Floyd is now dead in a prison because guards, well, not guards, but people attacked him. Guarantee you it'll be everywhere. What is his defense mechanism going to be? A knee in the back of the throat? That's not going to roll with them. You have a whole bunch of people in there who are aggressive and are willing to fight. They're not just going to let you sit there. Before I decided to make this, I was doing something else and I was listening to this song and it brought up something about like, I can't breathe, I'm struggling. And it immediately reminded me of that. And I almost started to cry. I did cry and then I stopped and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my opinion on this. Everybody's voices need to be heard. Mine is going to be heard. America, we need to be fixed. We need to have a big discussion with maybe like 3 or 4 of the people who are out rioting and the police officer. And then 2, like, I don't know, the governor and a news lady in there. Have them see that white cop in person. I really wish that white cop would go on the street and some black man see him. Or some person who was rioting see him. Because it is not going to end well for him. 25 years later, everyone's going to still remember this. Don't think we're not. That one day that everything comes up and it's like, these are the innocent people who died. Everybody's going to be like, you know what? And most of those police officers got out 25 years later without parole. Or most of those people, okay, so a person who smokes marijuana can go in for life while selling drugs. Trump got her out, but there was this girl who was selling drugs and she got life. But there are pedophiles and murderers only get 25 years or 10 years. What? Lord, please help America. Please. I'm going to end this now before I burst out into a heartbreak over what happened. But that is my opinion. And that is what I think really honestly needed to be said. People still protest, just don't riot. People go to their houses and go to his house and make sure the mom's okay. Make sure the aunt's okay. Make sure his family is doing well. Just don't set buildings on fire. Because one day you're going to raise your kids and you're going to be like, we used to have a thrift store right there, but there was a big thing that broke out and they burnt it down. Just please remember that we're already in a tough scenario, and just know that your voices will be heard one way or another. So I'm going to end this right now, and thank you for watching or listening, or if you're watching this later on. And that is what I feel needed to be said. So, feel need to comment and tell your opinion too. Don't be scared either.